Hello, DeadSlayer54 here with another Roblox Studio tutorial. So in the last video I covered the bare bones basics of moving around in Studio. So now that we can move around, I'm going to be going over the basic how to build. So to use the example of the little compass rose thing that I had in the first video, we're going to be building that. So let's just jump right in. I have model set up because I have my tools to the side, I have my fine tuning, and I can easily add parts, effects, spawn. I just find myself in model more often than anything else. So we're going to want to first add a part. If you see here it says part. You can click the cube and it'll add a basic brick. You can also click the down arrow as it's a drop down menu. You can add a sphere, a wedge, a little ramp, or a cylinder. So those are the four main parts you can add. Right now, we're just using the standard block. So let's move that. And I'm just recreating the little lines here. So let's just make a long one. So scale, if you look at the tooltip, resize is an object. So let's make it longer. I want it to be longer this way. So I will grab this bubble and I will drag it that way. I now want it to not be as flat, so I'm going to increase the height just a little bit. There we go. And now I have just a basic stick. So if you look at the little axis here, it's the red X. So I want this to be red. You'll notice in the properties window, appearance is the first one up there. It's one of the most commonly used ones, so I'm along with just being alphabetically ordered, I'm glad it's up top. So I want to change the color. So there's a couple ways you can go about it. You can click the brick color and have this little honeycomb structure to change the color, and you'll see that it shows you what the brick will look like if you select that color. I'm not clicking anything, it's just detecting where my mouse is at. And if you're wondering what color it is currently, you'll notice this one here is highlighted. So that's how you tell which one it is right now. But that's not the one I normally use because I like a little more control over my colors. So I'm going to press escape rather than selecting color so that I don't have to actually make any changes. So I tend to use color myself. So there's two ways you can go about it. If you click this, you'll have this nice little GUI pop up, and you'll notice that it's not changing color based on where my mouse is. It will change color based on where that cross is. If I use left mouse button, click and hold, like just clicking, it automatically drags to wherever I clicked. But if I click and hold, it follows my mouse around. And then you can see what it'll look like. So if I click cancel, it'll undo the changes completely. So I want it to be as red as possible. So dragging it around here is nice, but if you want absolute control and you know what you're after, I know what I'm after. I'm after as much red as possible, nothing else. So it uses RGB values, red, green, blue. You'll notice three numbers here. Notice 51, same as red, 165, same as green, and 55, same as blue. RGB, RGB, it's ordered, easy to keep track of. So you can either put the numbers in here, or what I tend to do for simple colors like fully red, fully green, is I'll click here in the little box instead, as much red as possible. So these numbers are 0, meaning none at all, and 255, which is the max value. So as much red, first value, as possible, comma, 0, because I want no green, comma, 0, because I want no blue. If I press enter, it makes it fully red. So now that I have it the color that I want another one, but blue and facing the other way. So I can select this and right click and duplicate. I could also use Ctrl+D, which is what I usually do. So duplicate. And now you'll see there's two parts, but there's only one actually visible. It is the exact same. So not only does it look the exact same, but it's in the same spot too. So it overlaps it. So if I drag one away, you'll see that there's another one that stays. So R to rotate. And if you want to use more precise rotations, because R snaps by 90 degrees, you can always use the rotate tool, which has these circles. So if I wanted to rotate along the floor like that, I can use the green circle here and rotate it that way. If I wanted it to tilt upwards, I can use the blue circle to make it tilt, but you'll see it phase through the base plate. So I'll use select and I'll drag it so that it's, wow, that goes high. So yeah, if it ends up phasing through the base plate, you can always just drag it and it'll snap on top of the block that it's in. So you can also do that by T for tilt and then R for rotate, because simple 90 degrees. Now I want it blue. So RGB, blue is the final value. So no red, no green, all of the blue. Enter, and it's all of the blue. So I'll Ctrl+D and rotate, because I want to make the green. So do that. You'll see phase through the base plate again. Select, drag, and now it's actually sticking all the way to the top. 0 red, all of the green, 0 blue. And now I have some of what I had originally. So you'll notice from the last video, both of these were on the other side as well. So I can scale it to just go through and go out to the other side, or select that. Now if I want to select multiple parts, I can either select a part, hold down Control and select another, and you'll see that both are selected, or unselect. If I know the parts in the workplace, like I know it's these top two, I can select it, hold down Shift to select everything in it, or to select just those. It's easier to notice when there's more parts. I'll come back to this later. Or you can use select tool, click in an empty spot and drag, and it'll select all the blocks within the box. So Ctrl+D to duplicate the selection. You'll notice two parts are in the selection, so it duplicates the both of them. Drag them out, rotate, rotate, and wow, moving that was a little weird. So let's just use the move tool. And there. So now I have my completed structure. If I wanted to make sure that this structure stays together, I don't want to accidentally drag a part away or anything, I can select everything, or if I wanted to, Shift to select everything, or if I wanted only certain parts, use Control instead, and you'll see it selects only the ones I click. But I want the whole selection, and right-click, group. You'll see Ctrl+G is another option. That's what I would normally do, as I like shortcuts. But group, and it's a model, so now it stays as one item. So if I click and move part, it moves the whole thing. I can't even select any individual part anymore because it will only select the model. If I wanted to move something, I can go inside the model, select the part, and I can move it around with the move tools. But even if I have it selected, with the select tool, I'm still moving the whole part. Well, the whole model. So, move that. Now, let's rename some of the parts because I got a little confused as to which part was what. So let's name this, right-click, rename, blue 1. Or if you click a part in the Explorer, If you click a part in the window, it doesn't work for some reason, but if you click the part in the Explorer, you can use F2 to rename. Red 1, blue 2, red 2, and green. Green. So that is how you rename blocks. That comes in handy for models where you might want to be able to easily identify certain parts, namely for if you have a script that'll recolor things. But yeah, that's how you can do that. And if you noticed in the last video, my character walked around and pushed all the blocks out of the way. Let's quickly test this. Takes a moment to load as my computer's a little old. So yeah, you'll see I'm able to push the blocks. So we down with the Empire. Oh, I'm not able to knock that down. Sad face. But yeah, you'll see that I'm able to move the blocks around just by running into them. And it completely destroyed the little setup that I had. Well, the green still stood. If you want to fix this, then you can either select the model, and click anchor, and that will anchor everything within the model, or you can just select everything and anchor it from there. So with it anchored, here, move up just a little bit just so that it has the little floating element, because you will notice if you placed blocks and they were floating in the air, then once you launch the game, they were on the floor. I'm in the middle of a video, Steam. Please wait. So, not only is it still in the air, that was weird. Huh, okay, so apparently if it's head level, then you can just phase through it. But yeah, so my character cannot push these out of the way. That is what anchoring does. It keeps things in place. So they can only be moved via scripts. So move this down again. Now, just because it was kind of mentioned accidentally by my character phasing through it, but my character was able to stand on it. If you want it so that players can phase through blocks and it's like the blocks don't exist, but they're still there, that is, that's another property called Can Collide. You can scroll down under Behavior. Can Collide. If I turn that to off, test that. Wow, my character bounced. Now, these blocks, they're there, but I can walk through them. So that's helpful. That's slightly more advanced properties, but it's nice to know. So, by Ctrl+U, yep, Ungroup. You can also use right click. I like to use shortcuts. So if we want this to be a little cooler looking, let's make it nice and shiny. Let's make it neon. In fact, there's a material called neon. So materials are what it's built out of, basically. Well, not quite. It's just what it looks like. So you have a bunch of options. You have force field. It makes it look like a transparent glass. You have actual glass, which is slightly less transparent glass, oddly enough. Granite, which is really dark, so use bright colors for granite. So you'll notice how dark it is. This is with the colors as bright as possible. It becomes dark. But we want it to be neon, because shiny. So that's what material does. You have a bunch of materials to choose from. play with the materials, play with the colors. You'll make a lot of really cool stuff. There's reflectiveness. Let's make this back to plastic. Actually, if you have this selected and you press a letter key, it will switch to the first material that matches that letter. So press P, pebble. It's alphabetized, so pebble came first, PE. I want plastic, PL. I can use the down arrow key to scroll down on the list without opening it. Plastic, perfect. Or S for sand, but I want smooth plastic, so I use the down arrow twice. So what reflectiveness is it's mirrors. So if I move this, you'll see it's changing the appearance. You'll see those are kind of shiny on the top. Oopsies. Reflectance. So if I move it all the way up to 1, you'll see it's kind of gray on the sides. It's reflecting the base plate, but the tip top up here is blue. That's because that one is reflecting the sky. So that's how you make mirrors. So that's nice. Or, let's turn that back down to 0. Transparency is how you would make like windows, water, things you can see through. So it can go from 0 to none, to 1, completely invisible, and anything in between, or at least to a, I'm curious. Yep, to a 3 decimal digit number, because if I put another 5, it just rounds up. So you can use up to 3 decimal digits to have control over the transparency. So that is the basics of building. How to anchor, transparency, reflectance, color, material, basic parts, modeling so that it stays together, and anchoring so that it doesn't fall apart. So I will cover meshes and unions and more advanced building in the next video. Thank you for staying tuned if you watched this far, and I will see you next time. Dead's Layer 54 out.